Stretch out the dreams from my mind. Granny's got the scoop, let's unwind. Birds are chirping, singing their tune. Mystery of the day coming soon. Cup of tea and a buttered scone. Start the day, we're never alone. Good morning, rise and shine. Granny's here with stories so fine. Good morning, off we go. To greet the world with a happy glow.
Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is having a good morning so far. Today we're going to talk about a tragic story. It's about a TikToker. Guys, what is going on with people from TikTok? Seems like they're crazy. I'm just going to get right into it. So grab your coffee, your tea, your cappuccino, your espresso, your juice, whatever it is you drink, and let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you today. And let's get started.
We told you a few weeks ago about Miriam Yarimi, the 32-year-old wig maker from Brooklyn, who was allegedly driving very recklessly when she allegedly slammed into Natasha Sada and her 3 children. The mother, 2 daughters, they died from these catastrophic injuries. The youngest, a 4-year-old boy, had to be rushed to a hospital in critical condition. The Brooklyn DA, the district attorney, now says that that little boy has recovered slightly, but he still has a long road ahead of him. And for Yarimi, her journey saw her move from her wrecked car to an ambulance to a psychiatric hospital and eventually to jail. And according to documents that were filed in court, Yarimi apparently went on this strange rant at the time of her arrest. A lot of details going on here. I want to give you the background on this case. I'm warning you right now, this is such a sad case. On March 29th, Natasha and her 3 children were walking home from services at their synagogue in Brooklyn, and they were crossing Ocean Parkway when an Audi came flying through the red light, hitting an Uber waiting to turn and violently crashing into the family. A separate family, by the way, in the rideshare. They had minor injuries, but there was another family there. But the impact, as I mentioned, obliterated Natasha and her kids. The Audi, allegedly driven by Miriam Yarimi, rolled, ended up on its hood more than 100 feet away from the crash, according to investigators. 8-year-old Diana, 5-year-old Deborah, they were killed along with their mother. And as I mentioned, Natasha's 4-year-old son was hospitalized. And after being cut out of her Audi, Yarimi, the suspect in this case, the defendant who had just minor physical injuries, was allegedly rambling at the scene about how agents from the CIA were out to get her and how she had the devil in her. This is according to first responders. So they take her to Bellevue Hospital for a psychiatric assessment, okay? So to talk more about Yarimi's apparent wild rant, her arraignment this week, the case, her history, which is very important, I want to bring in criminal defense attorney Paul Townsend to talk more about this. Paul, thanks so much for coming on. We're both from New York. This is such a sad case. I know exactly where this is. What was your initial reaction to this story?
I think everyone's initial reaction to this story is just to say, wow, what a tragedy. I mean, it's so sad. You have a family walking home from services, just crossing a street. A car comes out of nowhere, blows a red light, hits another car, goes careening into them. And then you have 3 innocent bystanders dead and another one critically injured in the hospital. Just such a senseless and avoidable act. It's really just heartbreaking to hear about.
Do you see a lot of cases like this?
So I've actually handled a couple cases like this. usually when we see something like this, at least in my experience, there's alcohol involved, but that doesn't seem to be the case here. If you look at the indictment that Urimi is facing, driving under the influence is not there. She was taken to the hospital. Presumably they would have done some blood work, so if she had alcohol in her system, they would have charged her with it. This looks like a case of just real reckless driving that resulted in 3 homicides and one very severe hospitalization. So yeah, I mean, this is unfortunately, when you live in a city like New York, this is not a once in a lifetime occurrence. It's not common, but it is something that we do unfortunately see here.
Hey, everybody, this is a lawn crime legal alert. Did you know that children are being diagnosed with serious conditions like type 2 diabetes, a non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and scan the QR code on screen to learn more. Yeah, let me talk about these charges. So on Thursday, Urimi was arraigned in Brooklyn Supreme Court. She entered not guilty pleas to 20 counts, the most serious of which are manslaughter and criminally negligent homicide. But she also faces assault charges for the injuries to the family in the Uber, the one I mentioned before. She also has accusations of speeding, running red lights, driving without a license. In fact, let's talk about that. Urimi's license, big factor in this case, suspended at the time of the crash, meaning she shouldn't have been behind the wheel, okay? Let's make that.
Wow. So she shouldn't have been behind the wheel, guys. She ended up taking the lives of 2 precious little babies. And talking strangely after, was that just a way to get her out of this? I mean, was she sitting there upside down in her car thinking of ways to beat this? Or is she truly has mental health problems? I mean, I don't know.
Clear. And we learned from the Brooklyn DA that Urimi not only ran the red light, according to authorities, at the intersection where Natasha and her children were, but also allegedly ran the light at the intersection before that, where she also nearly caused a crash. Paul, how's that going to factor into here?
Every piece of evidence that goes towards her driving and even her legal ability to drive is going to be in the forefront. This is a big media case. This has gotten a lot of coverage. A lot of people are interested in it, and it certainly is probative to the question of whether or not she recklessly caused these deaths, because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about manslaughter. Was she reckless in her actions that caused the death? So when the prosecutor can show not only did she run through the red light in the intersection before that one, she ran the red light in that intersection. And it also, the black box from her car apparently shows that she was doing 63 in a 25. So that in and of itself is going to give the average person pause to say, okay, she was a time bomb waiting to go off on the road. And there's been news coverage showing that she had something like almost 100 different infractions on her license that resulted in it being.
Look at that, guys. 99 violations. 63 in a 25. Not only did she go through this red light that caused the deaths of those 2 babies, but she went through the prior one, the one just prior to this. And she's pleading not guilty. Look at the fine, $10,867.04. Was reduced by $386, paid $91.35, owed $1,345.04. I don't get it.
Suspended. So New York State even told her, you are a liability, you cannot drive, and she was driving anyway.
I want to get to that, but going back to what you just mentioned, the black box. Look, I think, a crime like this, right, where you're in a city environment, you're in an environment where there's surveillance cameras, there's probably traffic cameras, there's potentially, eyewitnesses, particularly if you're thinking about the people in the Uber as well, or people who are on the street. It seems like the evidence is mounting and mounting and mounting against her. You talked about the black box. How accurate is that data?
Oh, black boxes are very, very, very accurate. They record almost moment to moment variations of certain specific information. So through the black box, they will know, was she pressing the accelerator? Was she pressing the brake? How hard was the wheel turning? How not only was she pressing the brake, but what amount of force was being pushed on any particular pedal? What was her rate of acceleration? What was her top speed? So you can see if somebody is slamming on the brakes to avoid an accident, or if their foot's on the accelerator and they're causing it.
Now, in a press release following her arraignment, the DA's office said, quote, "When the family was a step or two from the sidewalk, the Audi driven by the defendant sped through the intersection against the light, smashed into the back of the turning Toyota, and plowed through the victims with their car, continuing to roll over, stopping about 130 feet away." You can kind of visualize just the horror of this. According to evidence obtained from the black box, as we just talked about, the Audi was traveling at about 68 miles per hour in a 25 mile per hour zone, was at full throttle, suggesting the gas pedal was floored and zero brake was applied. Now, according to the DA, Natasha's 4-year-old son suffered skull fractures, brain bleeding, had to have a kidney removed. He's reportedly in some sort of medically induced coma, and I can't say this enough. Our hearts and our prayers are going towards him and the family, including...
Oh, my heart just breaks for this family. Guys, they were coming from church, a synagogue, right? How horrible. Doesn't sound like the little boy. Well, we can pray, right? We can pray. But these two precious little girls gone because this woman decided to press the pedal to the metal, not put her foot on the brake, not care about anybody else, including her own life, but she wasn't hurt. Obviously, isn't that the way it always goes, guys? Oh, my heart goes out to this family.
Including the father and the husband, who's now left to pick up the pieces of what's going on here. And the Brooklyn DA, Eric Gonzalez, told reporters this horrific fatal crash was one of the worst I've seen in over 25 years as a prosecutor. It wasn't an accident. This defendant's unconscionably dangerous driving wiped out a family. The consequences of her flouting traffic laws and common sense were disastrous, and we will now seek to hold her fully accountable for this criminally reckless behavior. By the way, we talked about this a little bit. Let's expand upon it. According to a New York website that aggregates public information about traffic violations connected to license plates, Miss Yerimi has racked up almost 100 traffic tickets in just the past 3 years. Quite an achievement. As Yerimi showed off in a TikTok video, her license plate is quite memorable.
Guys, I just got my new license plate. It's official. I'm officially a wig maker by law. Ah! Oh my God! It looks so good! Wig maker, hit me up! Oh my God, just pull me over. Like, get at me.
Now, in 2023, records show that Yerimi got a personalized license plate that said wig maker, and not long after, she updated her plate for unknown reasons to say wig maker with an 8 in place of the A. According to the website How's My Driving NY, that plate had nearly 100 traffic violations connected to it between September 2023 and March 2025 when Yerimi was arrested for this crash. And the site shows that Yerimi's wig maker, again with an 8, that license plate, has been associated with 70 parking violations and 21 speeding tickets. And she's been caught on camera running red lights at least 5 times. And the DA, by the way, talked about Yerimi's criminal traffic history after the arraignment.
One thing is very clear. This car had many violations, right? Speeding tickets, running red light tickets. The vehicle has been ticketed so many times. The driver, the allegation, you heard it in court, has a suspended license as well. What's very clear is that she should not have been on the road that day. Had she not been on the road driving that Audi on that day, this family would have survived this terrible incident. In terms of her psychiatric history of defense, we heard nothing from her lawyer today about that, so I'm not going to speculate about what those conditions are, if any.
So according to ABC7, Uremi's attorney, Joe Amsel, argued for bail. The request, maybe not surprisingly, was denied, and he told reporters outside the courthouse the statements that have been made in the press about her being a scofflaw and having a number of traffic and moving violations, that is unfounded, and I've never seen any evidence that she's even been pulled over by a cop and ticketed. Amsel claims that if Uremi was cited via red light cameras or speed cameras, the state would have to prove that she actually received the tickets in the mail. But didn't she? Right? Because if you go back to How's My Driving NY, that website, it indicates that since 2023, Uremi has paid more than $9,000 in traffic fines. Paul, what do you make of this argument?
Yeah, that's really the most conclusive piece of evidence that I think the prosecution can rely on. Because when you run a red light, when you speed and you get picked up on one of those cameras, what it does is it automatically generates the fine that you get, and then they mail it to the address that's listed on your driver's license. Now, in New York, people are constantly moving. That's just part of living in the city. So some people, get a driver's license. It's good for 10 years, and they're, 2 or 3 addresses away. So you could make the claim like, oh, I don't live at that address, but my license is still good. I never got it renewed. So I never got any of these fines. She's going to have problems with that because she's paid the fines. So in order for her to pay the fine, she must have been aware of their existence. So it's going to be very, very difficult, I think, for Joseph Amsel to sell a judge on she didn't know her license was suspended when she's paid $9,000 in fines, which have racked up over course of a couple of years at this point. So I think it's a hard thing to argue that there's just no evidence that she knew that her license was suspended or anything like that, because she's been paying the fine. She still owes, I think, like $1,500 or something close to that left on various outstanding traffic violations. But the fact that she has paid so much, anybody would know at that point that you have incurred all of these different violations.
Can all that come into evidence at a criminal trial? And would a defense attorney say it's highly prejudicial, it's it's irrelevant to the case at hand? Because and how do you introduce it? Who comes up to testify about the all these infractions or tickets? How does it work?
Okay, a lot of questions. Let's break this down. So the answer is it is relevant, and relevant evidence is admissible at court. Now, there's going to have to be some balancing between the unduly prejudicial nature of all of these different violations versus the relevant aspect of it. And how do we know it's relevant? Because she's charged with driving with a suspended license. If she wasn't charged with the suspended license, then arguably all of those infractions would be irrelevant, because she's not being put on trial for incurring past infractions, except that they are the foundation for her suspended license. And therefore, the prosecutor is entitled to bring up the fact that, yes, her license was suspended, and here's why. Here are the 99 different infractions that she had that led to her license being suspended. Now, how do you get that in? So there's a couple different ways.
Wow, guys. So instead of just pleading guilty, maybe taking a plea deal, this woman is going to make this family go through a criminal trial to get off for herself. Guys, 99 infractions. Her license wasn't suspended. She went through the red light before this red light that ended up breadrumming this family. I got to tell you, it angers me that she is pleading not guilty. The black box says she didn't even put her foot on the brake. She doesn't belong driving a vehicle. She doesn't belong behind the wheel. She shouldn't have been behind the wheel that day. If she hadn't been, that family would be alive. guys, I'm going to put the link for this video that we're watching today in the description for my video. You can go and watch the rest of it. I just wanted to bring your attention to this. Tell me what you think about it. Do you disagree with me? And that's okay if you do. Just be respectful. Don't promote hate. We can be respectful and kind and still disagree, right? We can agree to disagree. How many times, and it's not TikTok, right? But some of the people on TikTok, influencers, I don't know, get such an ego that they think that they're untouchable. Is that what's going on here? I mean, we've heard over and over and over again, right? And it really makes you wonder what is going on. Why do people think more highly of themselves than they ought to? Why did she think it was okay for her to drive without a license? Obviously, she's no good. Just, it's so sad that a family had to lose their lives because of her negligence, because of her determination to get behind a car no matter what the law said. That's wrong on so many levels, in my opinion. So tell me what you think in the comments. I really want to know. I want to thank you all for being here with me today. I appreciate you guys so much. Please, please help the channel and hit that like button on your way out. Hit the subscribe and the bell. Make sure you move that bell to all so you get all of the notifications for our channel. You know when a video comes out, you know when we go live, when I post. We would love to have you. We go live most nights about 5 p.m. Central. Sometimes I take a night here and there off. I just feel like I need to, right? But we're building a great community, a community that's drama-free, where you can feel safe to come in, speak your mind, say what you want, as long as you're being respectful. We don't have an issue with that. So we'd love to have you join us. I want to thank you, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day today. Thank you for watching another episode of Granny's Crime Busters. We really appreciate each and every one of you. Don't forget to subscribe and like and even share the content. You can follow us on any of our other social media platforms at YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We really appreciate you guys, and you can also email us at grannyscrimebusters@gmail.com. Thank you so much, and we will see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.